When we are writing, there's a spelling rule that lots of people forget. So it's important that we keep coming back to it and reminding ourselves. So we're going to be focusing on the rule where you double the consonant in a word when you add the suffix. And we're going to look particularly at the suffix ed today. When we write in the past tense, lots of the verbs we use in our writing will end in the suffix ed. Not all of them, but lots of them. We must remember that's ed. It's not a T on the end or a TE. It's ed, even though sometimes when we're talking, it might sound a little bit like a T sound. Here's an example. I stopped and stared in amazement. So we've got two ed past tense verbs there, stopped and stared. You will notice that they have a slightly different spelling rule. They both end in the ed, but stopped has a double P in the middle and stared just has a single R in the middle. They both begin with a ST though, so there's lots of similarities, but one major difference, which is the rule we're looking at today. When the original word, like stop, has a short vowel sound and it ends in a consonant, like a P, we double the consonant before we add the suffix on. So here are some examples. If the word that we start with is stop, but we're writing in the past, so we say stopped, we have to double the P before we add the ed. That's because in the word stop, the vowel sound O is a short vowel sound, so it goes O, O, O. The word drop is very similar. It has a short O vowel sound, so we double the P before we add the ed. The word jab has a short A vowel sound, so we double the B before we add the ed. So in jab we hear a, short vowel sound. Grab, very similar to jab, with that short A vowel sound, so then we double the B before we add the ed. Pop has a short O sound, which is a short vowel sound, so we double the P before we add the ed. If we didn't have those double consonants, when people read our writing, or we read those words, we won't say them like that. We would say stoped, droped, jabed, raped, poped. That's how we would read them. So we must make sure that we're spelling them with this rule and doubling those consonants, or else our words don't have the same meaning. The word I used at the beginning, stared, is different because in the word stared, the A sound is a long vowel sound, so we don't have to double the R because we want that to stay as a long A sound. In maths, we're going to focus on finding unit fractions of amounts and showing you a way that we can do this. If you are asked to find a quarter of something, 1/4, so let's look at this example, 1/4 of 8, we need to think about how many equal parts that's going to be. If you have a look at the bottom number on the fraction, which is the denominator, it's a 4, which means that we have to split that 8 into 4 equal groups, 4 equal parts. The whole thing is 8, that's 8 is the whole thing, and then we've got to consider how can I split 8 into 4 equal parts. Many of you will be looking at that thinking, well, I know that that's going to be 2, 2, 2 and 2, because if I count in twos, 2, 4, 6, 8, I know 4 of those will make 8. I've got 8 altogether, but it's now split into quarters, 4 equal groups. If I was to say what's 1/4, I just look at one of those sections and so the answer is 2. If I was asked what's 2 quarters, I add 2 of those groups together, 2 of those quarters, 2 and 2 is 4. So 2 quarters would be 4. If I was being asked what 3 quarters were, I would add 3 of those groups together. So I've got 2 add 2 add 2, which is 6. So 6 would be 3 quarters of 8. If I'm looking at a different sort of fraction, so thirds, I once again want to look at the bottom number, the denominator, to find how many equal groups I need to share that between. So in this situation, I've got the number 12. 12 is my total, my whole thing, and I know that I need 3 equal groups, so that's why there are 3 equal groups at the bottom there on that bar model. If I didn't know by looking at that what I needed to put into those 3 equal groups, because I'm not so sure about those, I could use circles, counters, cubes, and place them in the 3 groups until I get to 12. So I could be counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then seeing that I ended up with 4 counters in each of those groups. That's another way of looking at it and having a go. You might at home have 3 plates you could use. You might just put 3 pieces of paper out and then split some pasta or Lego or blocks between them. You can use anything you've got at home. So in this situation, we were looking for 1/3 of 12. So if I have a look at one of my sections, I know that the answer is 4. So 1/3 of 12 is 4. If I want to find 2/3, I would just count up 2 of those sections and add 4 and 4 together. You might like to now have a go at doing some of these of your own. Here are some to have a go at. Good luck.